Hello, my friends. Welcome to another Reading in the Woods. Today we are going to finish the second half of the Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales. We left off right after Jack the narrator ruined Little Red Running Short's story, and the chicken was looking for her story to start. However, we are going to start here with Jack's bean problem. Forget the hen. Now it's time for the best story in the whole book, my story. Because once upon a time, I traded our last cow for 3 magic beans, and hey, Giant, what are you doing down here? You're wrecking my whole story. I don't like that story, says the Giant. You always trick me. That's the best part, says Jack. Fee, fi, fo, fori. I have made my own story. Great rhyme, Giant, and I'm sure your story's just as good, but there's no room for it, so why don't you just climb back up the beanstalk? I'll be up in a few minutes, and I'll steal your gold and singing harp. I'll grind your bones to make my bread. I knew you understand. And there's another little thing that's been bugging me. Could you please stop talking in all uppercase letters? It really messes up the page. I will read my story now, said the Giant. And he did. The end of the evil stepmother said, I'll huff and snuff and give you 3 wishes. The beast changed into 7 dwarves, happily ever after, for a spell had been cast by a wicked witch. Once upon a time. That's your story? Said Jack. You've got to be kidding. That's not a fairly stupid tale. That's an incredibly stupid tale. It's an unbelievably stupid tale. That is the most stupid tale I ever... The Giant grabbed Jack and dragged him to the next page. Once upon a time, there was a giant. The Giant squeezed Jack and said, Tell me a better story, or I will grind your bones to make my bread. And when the story is finished, I will grind your bones to make my bread anyway. Ho, ho, ho. The Giant laughed an evil laugh. Jack thought, he'll kill me if I do, he'll kill me if I don't. There's only one way to get out of this. Jack cleared his throat and began his story. Once upon a time, there was a giant. And the Giant squeezed Jack and said, Tell me a better story, I will grind your bones to make my bread. And when your story's finished, I will grind your bones to make my bread anyway. Ho, 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 ho. And the Giant laughed an ugly laugh, and Jack thought, he'll kill me if I do, he'll kill me if I don't. There's only one way to get out of this. Jack cleared his throat and said, Once upon a time, there was a giant. The Giant squeezed Jack and said, Tell me a better story, I will grind your bones to make my bread. And when the story is finished, I'll grind your bones to make my bread anyway. The Giant laughed an ugly laugh. Jack thought, he'll kill me if I do, he'll kill me if I don't. There's only one way to get out of this. Jack cleared his throat and began his story. Once upon a time, there was a giant. The Giant squeezed Jack and said, You better tell a story, I'll grind your bones to make my bread. And when the story is finished, I will grind your bones to make my bread anyway. And on to Cinder Rumpelstiltskin, or the girl who really blew it. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl named Cinderella who lived with her 3 wicked stepmothers and 2 ugly stepsisters. These step relatives were not only wicked and ugly, they also made Cinderella clean the house every day. One day, the local prince announced he was holding a fabulous ball at his castle. Everyone was invited. The stepmother and stepsisters got all dressed up to go, but as usual, they made Cinderella clean the house. So she didn't have time to get ready. After the stepmother and stepsisters left for the ball, Cinderella sat down and began to cry. Just then a little man appeared. Please don't cry. I can help you spin straw into gold. I don't think that'll do me much good, said Cinderella. I need a fancy dress, glass slippers, and a coach. Would you like to try to guess my name? Said the clever little man. Cinderella looked at him. No, not really. Come on, do you think it's Chester? If you don't have a dress, it really doesn't matter. Just guess my name, any name. Yeah, I'm not supposed to talk to strangers, said Cinderella. Then she closed the door and left the little man standing outside screaming, Rumpelstiltskin! 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 When the stepmother and stepsisters got home from the ball, Cinderella told them about the strange little man. They still made her clean the house. And meaner still, they changed her name to Cinder Rumpelstiltskin. The end. Oh. Alright. Now this one is called The Tortoise and the Hare. But what's funny is that instead of being called or spelled hare like the rabbit, it's spelled hair like what's growing out of my head. Once upon a time there was a tortoise who was very slow but very dependable. He would always get where he set out to go. It just, took him a lot longer than most. One day Rabbit saw a tortoise walking slowly but surely down the road and said, "Tortoise, you are so slow. I could probably grow hair faster than you can run." "Oh yeah?" said Tortoise slowly. "Yeah," said Rabbit. So they decided to race. On the day of the big race, Tortoise and Rabbit lined up at the starting line. Owl said, "On your mark, get set, grow." Tortoise started to run. Rabbit started to grow his hair. The tortoise ran, Rabbit grew his hair. 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 Tortoise is still running. Rabbit is still growing his hair. Not the end. And now, the greatest story in this whole book. You've been waiting 2 whole videos for this. The Stinky Cheese Man. Once upon a time, there was a little old woman and a little old man who lived together in a little old house. They were lonely, so a little old lady decided to make a man out of stinky cheese. She gave him a piece of bacon for mouth and 2 olives for eyes and put him in the oven to cook. When she opened the oven to see if he was done, the smell knocked her back. "What is that terrible smell?" she cried. The Stinky Cheese Man hopped out of the oven and ran out the door calling, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Stinky Cheese Man." A little old lady and a little old man sniffed the air. "I'm not very hungry," said the old man. "And I'm not really all that lonely," said the little old lady. So they didn't chase the Stinky Cheese Man. The Stinky Cheese Man ran and ran until he met a cow eating grass in a field. "Wow, what's that awful smell?" said the cow. The Stinky Cheese Man said, "I've run away from a little old lady and a little old man, and I can run away from you too, I can. Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Stinky Cheese Man." The cow gave another sniff and said, "Oh, I bet you could give someone 2 or 3 stomach aches. I think I'll just eat the weeds." So the cow didn't chase the Stinky Cheese Man either. The Stinky Cheese Man ran and ran until he met some kids playing outside the school. "Gross," said a little girl. "What's that nasty smell? I've run away from a little old lady and a little old man and a cow, and I can run away from you too, I can. Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Stinky Cheese Man." A little boy looked up, sniffed the air, and said, "If we catch him, our teacher will probably make us eat him. Let's get out of here." So the kids didn't chase the Stinky Cheese Man either. By and by, the Stinky Cheese Man came to a river with no bridge. "How will I ever cross this river? It's too big to jump, and if I try to swim across, I'll probably fall apart," said you-know-who. And just then, the sly fox, who shows up in a lot of stories like these, pokes his head out of the bushes. "Why, just hop on my back, and I'll carry you across, Cheese Man." "Well, I know you won't eat me." "Trust me," said the fox. So the Stinky Cheese Man hopped on the fox's back. The fox swam to the middle of the river and said, "Oh, man, what's that funk-ass smell?" The fox coughed and gagged and sneezed, and the Stinky Cheese Man flew off his back into the river, where he fell apart. The end. Shh. Be very quiet. I moved the end paper here so the giant would think the book is over. The big lug is finally asleep. Now I can sneak out of here. Just turn the page very quietly, and that will be the
I found the wheat. I planted the wheat. I grew the wheat. I harvested the wheat. I ground the wheat. I made the dough. I baked the bread, said the little red hen. And did anyone help me? Did anyone save space for my story? So now, said the little red hen, who thinks they're going to help me eat the bread?
Bread, said the giant. Eat, said the giant. The end. So that has been the Stinky Cheese Man and other fairly stupid tales. Definitely one of my favorite books. It never gets old for me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. You can join me for other stories that I will read in the future. I also plan on doing some fun science experiments as well, because I figure it could be something we could all do together, because they'll be kind of like experiments that you can do with things that you find around the house, like I don't know, like Taco Bell sauce packets and pennies, you know, stuff like that. So make sure you keep your eye out for things like that, because I'll be doing some science experiments in the future. If you don't want to do any of those, totally fine too. You can watch me do them, or you can just listen to me read. Doesn't really matter, as long as you're having fun. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'll catch you next time.